Welcome! 今回のディープダイブのミッションは、トミー・ヨシダ、2本目、吉田勉さんの観測記録を深掘りすることです。I'm joined by my co-host today, and we're going to unpack his really fascinating perspective on this massive collision between AI and journalism.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We're going to be looking at the reflections he published in both his Japan and international editions. And, our main focus for this explainer is exactly where we stand right now in this crazy transition to an AI-driven world. It's really a deep dive into human agency, or, as Yoshida puts it so well, the concept that 主導権は人間が持つこと, meaning the initiative just fundamentally has to remain with us, the humans.
Right, exactly. Now, before we actually jump in, we do need to set the ground rules for today's observation. Tommy states this as a core guiding rule. This channel does not evaluate AI nor reach conclusions. Unfinished thoughts and unnatural phrasing are left intentionally as we observe this transition.
Absolutely. And we really have to keep that in the back of our minds today. We aren't here to, declare winners or losers between humans and machines or tie everything up with a perfect little bow. We are literally living through a massive, active transition. So some ideas might feel kind of open-ended, and honestly, that discomfort is intentionally left just as it is. We're simply observing how technology, language, and human judgment are interacting right now in real time.
Okay, so section 1, the observation begins. Let's get right into it. Right, and Tommy Yoshida points to a super specific catalyst for his whole thought process here. It's something we literally all experience every single day, which is the modern news cycle and just its absolute barrage of questioning headlines.
Oh, for sure. You've definitely seen these while scrolling your feeds. We constantly see headlines basically screaming questions at us, like, is this really true? Or could this become a problem? And think about it, just a few years ago, if you saw a headline posing a question like that, you would have had to spend, several minutes searching the web, reading multiple articles, and mentally trying to synthesize all these different viewpoints just to piece together an actual answer. It required a lot of active participation from us as readers.
Exactly, and it totally continues with really complex policy questions too, like, why wasn't a tax cut chosen? Or is it acceptable not to provide this? So the core question Yoshida asks himself when looking at these articles is, right now, you can literally just ask ChatGPT or Claude and get this highly comprehensive, nuanced summary of the whole issue in like 30 seconds. So are these kinds of traditional news articles just going to disappear? Because honestly, why read a massive sprawling analysis when you can get the direct answer instantly? Yet, his observation suggests a pretty definitive no. They won't disappear. But their function? That might totally shift.
Which brings us to section 2, history repeating. So to actually understand where we're going with AI and journalism, Yoshida takes us all the way back to the 1990s and 2000s. The dawn of the internet actually feels incredibly similar to the generative AI boom we're living through right this second. It gives us some super vital context.
Yeah, back when the internet was first exploding, people were making these really bold predictions, saying things like, everything will be available online. Newspapers, encyclopedias, and experts will become unnecessary.
It's almost kind of funny looking back at the sheer hubris of that era, right? People genuinely believed that just because information was suddenly highly accessible, the people who actually curate, contextualize, and verify it would just vanish overnight. There was this huge assumption that raw data was basically equal to knowledge. And obviously, those predictions were entirely incorrect.
Right, reality played out very differently. Just look at the resilience of specialized roles. Journalists, doctors, lawyers, tax accountants. Literally none of these professions disappeared as the internet matured.
Exactly. Instead, their roles just evolved. Human expertise remained absolutely vital, maybe even more so than before. Like, the internet gave us unprecedented access to raw data, sure, but it absolutely didn't give us the human judgment required to responsibly interpret that data or, apply it to a unique human situation, because access is just not the same thing as understanding.
Moving right along to section 3, from search to interaction. Right, we are moving way beyond that old internet era and stepping into a massive paradigm shift. And this is all being driven by conversational platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Perplexity.
And the absolute crucial distinction here is this. The internet changed how we search for information. Generative AI, though, is completely changing how we interact with information. That distinction is incredibly profound. It's no longer about typing rigid little keywords and scanning a vertical list of links, just hoping one matches what you're looking for. Now, it's this conversational, dialogue-based experience where the machine anticipates and synthesizes for you. Yoshida notes that even he actually consults AI first now, just to get a broad overview of complex topics. But, and this is a huge but, While that completely changes our initial access point to knowledge, it doesn't eliminate our need for that knowledge to be fundamentally trustworthy.
And that perfectly sets up Section 4, line between info and judgment. This right here is the philosophical core of Yoshida's observation. There is a really stark boundary between acquiring data and actually making decisions. This is where we start to truly see why human agency must stay at the forefront.
Let's define this gap super clearly. Information is just data organized by AI. Judgment, on the other hand, involves critical decisions made by actual humans.
Yeah, AI is undeniably incredibly efficient at organizing data. It can synthesize 1,000 documents in literally seconds. But we have to remember, AI relies entirely on primary information that was originally generated, verified, and published by actual human beings. We're talking reporters, government institutions, academic researchers. AI simply organizes what humans have already judged to be factual. The machine doesn't know anything, it just processes.
Exactly. And to really drive that point home, let's just think about what AI simply cannot do. It can't do primary reporting. It can't conduct physical interviews. It cannot discover unrecorded facts.
Right. An AI cannot walk into a super hostile press conference, read the shifting body language in the room, and spontaneously ask a really hard-hitting follow-up question. It can't travel to a disaster zone to physically verify what's happening on the ground when the power grid is completely down. That physical, real-world friction is exactly why journalism and authoritative institutions just cannot be replaced by language models. Human beings provide the primary, tangible fuel that these AI engines run on.
Which brings us to our final core theme, Section 5, Human Agency. And this leads us to what is easily our most important takeaway today. It all comes back to that idea that shudouken wa ningen ga motsu koto. The initiative, the control, the absolute final say must ultimately reside with us. So how do we do that? Well, Yoshida outlines 3 really essential steps we need to adopt in this new paradigm. First, ask appropriate questions to the AI. Second, rigorously verify those AI-generated answers. And third, build an unbreakable habit of checking primary sources.
This is where we have to deeply ponder what it actually means to hold the reins. Like, asking the right question means you already need a baseline of critical thinking, right? You can't just passively receive information anymore. And that third point, checking primary sources, that is your ultimate shield. It is entirely about human initiative. The AI is a powerful, untiring partner, for sure, but you are the ultimate editor of your own reality. You cannot just swallow an AI summary whole. Tracing the information back to the human who found it is really the only way we preserve truth in a totally synthetic era.
Which culminates in this beautifully simple thought. AI organizes knowledge, humans create verified facts, and maintain societal trust.
Exactly. They aren't in opposition at all. It's not this grand battle of AI versus journalism. They exist in a mutually supportive, symbiotic relationship. AI helps us digest an overwhelmingly complex world. It acts as a massive cognitive amplifier. But human reporters, subject matter experts, public institutions, they are the anchor. They anchor that digested world in reality, in total accuracy, and most importantly, in human trust.
So we are going to leave you today with an open-ended question pulled directly from Tami Yoshida's International Edition. True to our mission for this explainer, we aren't going to answer it for you. We want to let this thought remain beautifully unfinished, allowing you to draw your own conclusions about where we go from here. So we ask you this: how has AI changed the way you discover and verify information in your country? Just take a moment to really reflect on that. Consider your own daily habits and how much agency you're actually retaining. The transition is ongoing, and the observation continues. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will catch you next time.